could he have possibly been one crazy hand job away from losing his strength?
I'm open to that interpretation.
Yeah.
It speaks to me and my spiritual journey.
And
yeah,
I do
too.
like the idea of like his strength being contained in his hair. So like somebody follows behind him, like picking pubes off the urinal mints and like selling them as steroids to other boys at the time. Like they're the like raging rhino boner
hilarious.
pills at the gas station, and it's just Samson's pubes.
And then there's like there's one Philistine that has to tell the rest of the Philistines, like, guys, I have only been eating liver, but I have to admit I was eating Samson's pubes. That's
Hello and welcome to another episode of Growing Up Christian. I'm Casey, and just me tonight. Not doing a big intro because our guest this week is Mike Valdes, comedian, friend of the show, all-around fun dude, expert on 90s pop culture. Yeah, Mike's a great dude, and if you've been listening to the show for a little bit, I think like mid last year we had Mike on for the first time and just laughed and laughed and laughed, and it was a fantastic show. And so if you didn't listen to that one, you might find yourself wanting to go listen to it after this. But Mike joins us tonight to talk about the story of Samson. So over the past couple of months here, I've come with a bunch of Bible stories and kind of walked us through that. Sam's bringing the story of Samson this week to Mike and I, and it's way weirder than I remembered it being. There's a lot of strange details, and it's a ton of fun. So, like I said, Mike's a comedian, very funny comedian, and you should definitely check out his comedy. You can find Mike on Instagram at Mike Valdes. You can find him on TikTok at I think it's official Mike Valdes. And you should also check out his band, Mike Valdes and the Noise. It's great music. And he's got some merch for sale. I just picked up one of his t-shirts with the little like 90s. Man, I can't think of the word for it. It looks like red binoculars, and you pull the lever down and there's, a still shot from a Disney movie. I can't believe those ever sold, but everybody had one at one point. Or maybe you played with one in the church nursery, when you were kind of too old to be in there. You probably should just go sit through church, but your parents get sick of sitting next to you while you kick your legs in circles or play with the hymnal. And so check out Mike's merch and order some of that. Before we jump into the episode, a couple of things. Sam and I are going to be guesting on an episode of Boys Bible Study this week, which I know a bunch of you guys listen to that show because, before we had them on the show, a ton of you guys suggested it. Very funny dudes. They do a lot of kind of reviews and discussions of like Christian media and movies and things like that. We're going on there because they're doing a series on the Left Behind movies. And so we're going to specifically talk about Left Behind number 2, Tribulation Force. In the spirit of, preparation and being a good podcast guest, I've watched it twice in the past week. And my God, it's so bad. It's just so stupid. I read the books when I was a kid, and I remember really liking them. But at the time, I was a kid and a moron. So the movies are so awful. So April and I watched the first installment. I think it's just called Left Behind. But the second one, Tribulation Force. The first movie, there's at least some novelty to it because it's got like the rapture scenes and all of that kind of stuff in it, which I don't know. It's interesting at least. Number 2 sucks so bad. it's just like nothing happens. It's the dumbest plot points. There's a lot of little things in there that you can tell they were like, okay, we've got this giant book to work with. These are the scenes that we want to showcase, for character development or what. I should just stop. It's a terrible movie, and it's going to be a ton of fun to talk about it and rip it to shreds. So that's supposed to come out Sunday, January 22nd. So that's a fast turnaround. Props to those guys for being able to do that. But yeah, you can find Boys Bible Study on any podcast app and all the social media apps and stuff too. As always, if you're enjoying the show, we would appreciate it if you'd leave us a review wherever you listen to it. We got a pretty decent amount now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and yeah, thanks to all of you who have done that. And share it with a friend. If you got a friend that comes from the same roots, that won't be offended or is going to stop texting you back after you send it to them, yeah, share the show with them. One of one of your favorite episodes. And on a personal note, I know some of you guys follow me on Instagram and saw that April and I lost our German Shepherd Django this week, and just wanted to say thanks to those of you that reached out to offer condolences, and it was a tough couple of days, so I really appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. And yeah, sad to see him go, but he was an old guy and he lived a good life, so we were lucky to have him. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this episode with Mike Valdes. Again, check out his social media, look at his merch, and enjoy the conversation.
Hey everybody, we are back with our guest, Mike Valdes.
Hello. What's up?
Look. Oh, we're just so excited to have you back, Mike.
Dude, I'm so excited to be back. Are you kidding? This is great.
I think like your the first episode that you did with us still might be our longest episode.
Is it? You're welcome.
We went for a bit.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Who knows? We might be getting into that again here because we have a lot of ground to cover tonight.
Oh
boys.
yeah, we sure do.
Yeah, and also there's a handful of messages that were like, "Fuck yeah, that was a great episode."
That's nice.
Definitely want to see Mike back on the show. So
that's really sweet.
We can please a couple of our fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look, Casey and I have been rolling through some Bible stories, and I know that you also love Bible stories. So we figured we would rope you in for some of this journey. Sure. And this has been kind of fun, kind of revisiting some of these stories that you haven't read since you were maybe a wee lad, depending on when you thought you knew these stories well enough to never have to read them again. But as we've been finding out, a lot of little things pop up as we go through them. So
do you remember ever lying about devotionals?
Only all the time.
Did you guys ever call it tag time?
Tag time? What?
Tag time? Time alone with God. Just omit the W.
Get
but
your hand out of my dick.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
They didn't like the way tog time sounded. Like, go tog in the corner.
Yeah,
like,
I don't tog yourself in the corner.
Let's stop togging each other and start tagging each other.
I started out on that, like, read the Bible throughout read the whole Bible over the course of a year.
Oh yeah.
I started out on that like 16 times. I never made it out of Genesis.
Yeah. That's every Christian's New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through the entire Bible in a year, and then if you're lucky, you get to Numbers, and then you're like, I'm done.
Dude, I dieted longer than I read the Bible every day.
I think a lot of people just look at the chart and they realize how many chapters a day that is, and like, oh no, fuck that.
It's true.
Yeah, and to put all the hard ones up front too, because like you gotta try to. No one just said like, oh, when you start into one of these like genealogy chapters, just skip it.
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of made it out to be like, no, you need to read and no one cares. Like no one like enjoyed that. No one gleaned anything useful from it. Occasionally, like a weird youth pastor flex was to try to preach a sermon based on one of those books.
Mhm.
Yes, that was a flex.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like improv. Like if you're just like, give me a few words and I'll rap about it. It's like that's the youth pastor version of freestyle rapping. Is like doing one on the genealogies.
That's
Yeah,
great.
like Mark, what's his face?
Mark.
The comedian, he does that.
Oh, Mark.
Oh,
Norman.
Norman.
Mark Norman. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about a preacher.
He's Mark Norman is my preacher.
I'm so in touch with the Holy Spirit. Just say a word and I'll preach on it.
Yes. Did you guys ever see that? I think it was Oprah, the preacher kid on
the kid that's like super mad. I would love to see I would love to see an improvised pastor, because I'd love to go to that church and shout dildo like every improv show I've ever done. Where like the only time it would actually be funny is if you did it at a church where the pastor improvised on the word.
That is always the case. If anytime it's like it's an improv and people get to yell out words, it's generally I'm gonna guess it's usually drunk men who say pussy or dildo, or it's like it's always just something like, oh my god, I forgot. We've never moved on from 8th grade.
No woman has ever shouted out dildo and 9/11 at the same time. So
dildos crashing into the Twin Towers on 9/11. Is that what? Yeah, that's what they.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like I've followed a couple. Doing research for this show, I've found a few like very fun people online that I follow now.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy that I found on YouTube when I was looking for videos of the, oh god, what's the guy's name? The something is about to bust guy.
Oh, God,
something is about to bust.
It's the beginning with an M.
It doesn't matter, but there's a guy that came
Hank
up. That was a good poll, dude.
Is that the guy that played on your mom's house?
Oh man, I would love it.
I wonder if they got a hold of that clip.
Dude, you guys should interview that guy. His whole thing is like every symbol that's ever existed ever has is something about the end times and is something that is also sexual.
Yeah.
Like he's like, if you see this Obama flag, it actually looks like the American flag, but it's done with red strokes, which if you look at it closer, they actually look very phallic. And it's like, I wasn't thinking about that at all until you said that. You know, like I was just thinking it was an American flag that said Obama. You know,
dude, they love finding phalluses, and like the world is a word search, and they're always looking for phallus.
Oh my gosh, the amount of times that you can find 666 on a Disney symbol, like it's ridiculous. Like they're like, oh, like the D is a 6, but only if you put it towards the mirror, and then if you do a somersault, the I is actually a 6, and then there's another 6 in between the E. So it's like, okay, so it's like, wouldn't it be more obvious? Like if that's
like this one only looks like a 6 on your vinegar strokes.
Yeah.
There's this guy that I found like looking at clips of Hank Kuhneman though, that I don't think he's at the same church, but like the same YouTube channels that post a lot of cool Hank Kuhneman videos because they love him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they post this other guy and he's got long hair. He's like a great looking man. Like he would have been on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman or something like that when we were kids.
Okay.
And he's always got like a jacket on and he plays the electric guitar and like
of course he does.
Dude, he just like, it's one of those things where they just kind of like play continually and he improvs like prophesies
and
as
then
he's
Jesus
playing.
Said,
yeah, he does. He'll like speak a prophecy and then he'll like go into a guitar solo.
He's like if like Marty McFly was a teacher or like was a preacher, right? He just like does a guitar solo. When the spirit leaves him, you see his hand disappearing. Like
He's like apocalyptic goateed Marty McFly.
I love it. Have you seen that guy that's like he used to be like a Satanist or something, and like his whole thing is like he like shows the church how bad Pokemon cards are.
Yeah,
Dude,
Is he wait, we're talking the dude with the curly like mullet, right?
Yeah, the guy that looks like he used to be a Satanist, and like he literally like it like if you were to give me 3 guesses as to what his past was and you just showed me a picture, the first thing I would guess is he used to be a Satanist and now he's a preacher.
That could be a look. That definitely can be a look.
Is this guy somebody recent, or is it like old footage of
It's
him?
old footage, but it's like circulating because it's nuts.
Is it Mike Warnke?
No, but Mike Warnke does look like him. Mike Warnke
That's
though
what I was thinking.
is a comedian, as you know. I mean,
And a funny
air quotes. We'll throw some air quotes in there.
comedian. I mean, gosh, who knows?
It's like
Just
like
like
his
Howie
whole
Mandel.
joke is like, I look weird. He says it over and over again. He's like, I'm a little weird.
Yeah.
And the audience just chuckles, and he's like,
Yeah,
you know, they're sacrificing kids.
That's his catchphrase.
Yeah.
sacrificing kids.
He just throws that in constantly. Ends every act. He ends with that. Oh, he loves it.
Yeah, they're sacrificing kids.
And people cheer. You know, they're sacrificing kids. Everyone's like, woo!
There's people with merch, like they're sacrificing kids.
Yeah.
Dude, they
We
always
need that. That's our next shirt, Casey. They're sacrificing. You know, they're sacrificing kids.
Everybody will love wearing that in public.
Dude, you know what we first of all, I would love to wear that in public. That's very funny. Okay, so what I was gonna say is we should do is we should do like what Your Mom's House does with Garth Brooks, but we should do it with Mike Warnke, and we're like, the families need resolution. Like, where are these kids? Like
Yeah.
Where are the kids, Mike?
yeah, like just keep tweeting at them.
Where are the kids, Mike?
What? How many kids are you sacrificing? Like, just like all that. Stuff. Oh my god, that would be so funny.
Is he still active?
I have no clue.
I hope so.
I know that it was a really big deal when he was, because here's the thing, he was a comedian, and he was like the top comedian at a time, and then he had like an extreme downfall because they found out that a lot of his stories weren't real, which I think is hilarious because
that's the most Christian thing about it.
Because
he Ergen Cannered that.
Because here's the thing, guys. I don't mean to pull back the curtain too much, but I am a comedian, and I'll let you know, not everything that we say is necessarily true. So,
right. I wouldn't.
You only have to sound that out for the Christian audience, too.
They're like, wait a minute, he was lying?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, isn't all comedy kind of just an embellishment of something that happened? Like, in a
feel
way,
like so many comics talk about that too. They're like, they'll tell these stories, and people are like, did that really happen? It's just like, no, not really, not exactly, not to me. Maybe someone else, and then you personalize it. Like,
right?
There's still a ton of people though. They really do just think every story a comedian tells, like, that's crazy. They have all those funny stories. Like, so much funny stuff happens to them. It's like, no, as much stuff happens to them as regular people. Probably they just know how to be like, that gave me an idea, and that's what the story's gonna be.
Yeah, you have any idea how boring life actually is? Like, which, and this goes to show you, most people, even comedians, have one story that everyone wants to hear forever. Which, like the
your
machine
hot pocket bit
that happened to Bert Kreischer. And it'll something that cool will never happen to him ever again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
of course.
Like, that's just what it is. Like, we all have one machine story in us, in life.
Right.
But he's also a very good storyteller. So, like, most people aren't good storytellers.
Yeah.
But
he's one of those people that's just like, if any comedian believes the way they retell the story, it's Bert Kreischer.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like
he believes
huge
himself.
liar, and
Yeah.
he's fine, and he doesn't know.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, just so you guys know, Mike Warnke is still around. I found his Twitter.
Oh,
You want to hear his
perfect.
bio?
Yeah.
We need to tweet him immediately about the kids that are being sacrificed.
Where are the kids, Mike? His bio says, Minister of the Gospel, student of history, I'm sure.
Yeah. Whose version?
Guess
and
what,
which
Mike?
kind?
We all are students of history.
All history, all of it, not
Yeah.
just like a certain point.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has a
everything's
lot of
history.
points to make using Nazi Germany. Papa to many, Pappy to few. Oh.
Ew.
All right.
Bosco to honey. What does that mean?
He thinks all of the people in his church are his children. He's like a cult leader.
That's really weird.
What does Bosco to honey mean?
Maybe
Is that
that's
like some
like
sort
his
of-
like pet name for his wife.
Is that a brand?
Like he's
It's a
like,
brand
oh,
of.
I'm her Bosco. She's my honey.
What is Bosco?
I have no
other than
idea.
George
I thought-
Costanza's password.
Only thing I can think of is a character that Johnny Depp played in the 80s. Dante and Bosco.
Love all, serve one. And then it says
No,
all
serve
around
all.
fun dude.
Jesus says to serve all, doesn't he? Somewhere. I think he said that. So
You should
Come
serve
on.
all.
He's got oh boy, he posts fun memes. This one it says his
don't take
this
him as
one
a
says
meme
it's
guy.
his quote. True
Meme lord.
warriors are those that run toward the sound of battle, not because they are unafraid, but because they are determined. Mike Warnke.
That's its own. Okay. I like that because it just shows you how reckless you should be for the
Yeah.
gospel, you know?
Dude, you want to
Yeah.
know something weird? This is kind of out of left field, but this is something I was thinking about today. I was listening to a bunch of different music, and and I noticed something. I don't know if you guys have listened to Nickelback lately, but
I actually just like I didn't listen to Nickelback, but I did listen to a video of how sexually assaulty some of their lyrics are.
some are all.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
Like, just like I mean, anyway, we could I'll move on
Yeah.
from that part, but because there's so much we can get into. But I was noticing that they are so heavy now. It's like stupid.
Really?
Yeah, and what's super weird is that Bring Me the Horizon, one of the heaviest bands ever, has become Linkin Park now. You know, where like, and I was like, what world are we living in that like Bring Me the Horizon is like this radio friendly pop band, and Nickelback is doing Kill Switch like songs, like, you know, they have a song with a kill switch in it with a like it's like Norma Jean. Like, what do you do? You're Nickelback. What's happening? Like,
The video that I watched was from it was a Finn McKenty video, and he was just like,
I love that
people
guy.
were talking about the new Nickelback being heavy, so he checked it out, and then leading up to it, he went through a bunch. And the lyrics still bad.
Oh yeah. I thought of
no
the
improvements.
perfect way to describe Nickelback and why their fan base is so big. Because Nickelback is the rock band that country music listeners listen to when
Yeah,
they want to
there it
listen
is.
to something heavy.
That's exactly it. And there's so many
100%.
people who love country music.
Yeah.
So
It's like a whole nother world. I mean, if a whole genre of music has its own award show, it's big. You know?
yeah,
Like so
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's like redneck lifestyle reinforcement music.
You're absolutely right, because like even their ballads, like majority of their music videos for their ballads are like firemen coming home and like like I loved you all along, and it's like, and which, by the way, why am I crying watching this video? Like, it's so weird. Sometimes
It's
that
like,
band gets me.
Universal language.
Yeah, you know what's weird is like it's like kind of a hipster thing to like shit on Nickelback, but like at the same time, like I can't sit here and tell you that all of their songs are bad, because some of them actually are good. You know?
I
They're catchy.
Yeah.
have I think I've only heard what's ever been on the radio.
Yeah.
So
Usually
I don't
that's the
think I
best
have.
stuff. That's the best stuff. I mean, but yeah, I mean, the biggest issue, especially for me, is that the lyrics are so subpar. Like, I mean, the definition of the word mid, you know,
I like
like
that. I think the coolest part about them is that they just haven't evolved as art. He hasn't evolved as an artist in 25 years.
everything just sounds like the Spider-Man soundtrack still.
Yeah,
It's like
no
how
evolution.
did you work all through the last 30 years, but still you're somehow like nostalgia based now.
Yeah.
Like you're a time capsule.
It
You're a
is
human time
it
capsule.
is
Yeah,
kind of insane when you think about it. Yeah. That is
it's like the Lauren Boebert of music. Just like you're locked into this. It's never changing, and it'll just become irrelevant one day.
We're
We'll
all
see.
just waiting for you to die.
We'll see. I mean, it's weird how like that can happen to certain bands because like with that band, they are the definition of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like
Yeah.
because I'm serious, because like even their heavy riffs are like still very similar. You know, like it's like, yeah, this is more gain and there's some kill switches in this, but at the end of the day, like the melody of this song is still like the same melody that you've been using the whole time. It's just a little bit slower. You have a breakdown in the middle of it. Like it's all the same.
Yeah,
Which like and then there's some bands that try to do that because that's the only way they'll stay relevant. Like for example, I love this band, so no shade on them. Mumford and Sons. You know, Mumford and Sons when they came out, it was huge. Like that
right.
first album was like, holy shit, this band is amazing. It's like if the Pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean had a band. Like it's great. Right? And and then the second album comes out and it's very like, wow, this is just part 2 of the same album. And then it starts getting kind of repetitive and boring, you know, and then they made a complete change where they just became a rock band and and it was super good, but their fans were like, why aren't you doing you know
The
the
thing.
banjo thing anymore? And it's like, we tried to and you didn't like that either. So like it is weird because Nickelback has only written 5 songs 100 times. You know, like so
And
like
their producer has written 95 of those.
I'm that's extremely generous, but
Yeah. Well, so they had 5. Maybe they had 5 in them, and then they just,
yeah.
I'll give them 5, maybe.
I feel like Finn McKenty, like one of the things that I remember of him saying from all the videos I watched is just like how underappreciated it is that somebody can write like a catchy song,
Oh yeah, so
which
Yeah,
I
true.
think
yeah.
is okay. Here's my problem with Finn McKenty. One hand, he'll say that defending like some band that is kind of universally scorned or whatever, and then he just like hates Taylor Swift.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand where you're at here, but uh yeah,
I
I don't
kind of
know.
understand it in a way, but to be fair, like I love Taylor Swift, but I think the reason why I love her is because I love the songwriters that she works with. Like I love Jack Antonoff, I love Max Martin, I love Bon Iver, you know, all those people. And she's co-writing with them. Like I mean, I know that I know that she's still writing the music, but also it's like it's a co-write and they're producing and things like that. So it's very I don't know. And also this is kind of harping back on that point that Finn was making. I was watching the Grammys one year. It was the year that 24 Karat Magic got Song of the Year. And I was baffled at the amount of people that were on that stage that claimed that they wrote that song. I was like, there's 50 people on this stage. This song is 3 minutes long.
My God.
Like, how is that possible? Like, did it take 4 of you to write a bass line? Like, what happened?
Who's like who sings that?
Bruno Mars.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That song that's like 24 karat magic in the air. Like, I mean, it's very good. It's like a modern day like, you know, Michael Jackson or Prince type thing, you know. Some would say that's The Weekend as well, but you know, it's so weird when you see especially pop music when you see like the song of the year categories where it's just songwriters winning. It's like, you're like, how many people did it possibly take to write Firework by Katy Perry? Like, that song is stupid. Like, and like, it's like,
don't you ever feel like a plastic bag though?
yeah,
I
like
mean,
it took 14 people to write that lyric. Did you realize that? Like,
I,
like,
It's like crowdsourced.
yeah, it's weird. I what's it called? I had a friend who worked. I don't know if I could tell this story, but I'll tell it. I don't care. But I had a friend who worked with Sony. He was a songwriter for Sony, and they would do these camps where it was literally 20 people, like in a cabin, and there would be 5 people that their whole job was just to write a hook, and that was it. Like no
Wow.
verses, nothing. Like just like write me a hook, you know because I was telling him, I was, talking to him about producing my next thing, and I was telling him how my issue with writing is that I'm very good at writing hooks, but it's tough for me to go backwards and write a verse and all that stuff. And he goes, "Oh, dude, your problem is like the biggest, like it's like the best thing in the songwriting business, because it's the opposite in the songwriting business where there's not many people who can come up with original hooks. It's mostly people that can write verses and that can produce, and that can make like sick bass lines that are different or like whatever." So, and then he told me this story about like, yeah, like there's literally like they'll put 30 people in these pods or whatever, and it'll be for like a pop song, and they'll just be like, "Oh, this is like, a Rihanna type song. So like if Rihanna wants this, then Rihanna can have it." Like it's like they'll
like a
literally
writer's room for Saturday Night Live.
it's literally that, where they go, "Okay, Saturday we're working on a Rihanna type song." Um and which, by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean that Rihanna's going to like it. Like they'll pitch it to Rihanna, and if she doesn't like it but the record label does, they have like 13 other people that are in the R&B category, and they might like it.
Right.
So, you're still selling the song at the end of the day.
It's such a wild universe.
It's a
Love
weird
the
weird
idea of
universe, man. And
like
like,
sitting in that room and just like throwing out ideas like, I want everybody's heard
yeah.
about the bird.
It's like
I
it's
mean,
a lot of
I would hope to God that there wasn't a pod for that song, like with 30 people. Like, how about bird, 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 bird is the word. Like, you're like,
Had to extend the
Johnson,
CD jacket.
you're going home early. That was such a great idea. Like,
it's
like,
it makes me think of like a room full of like conversations like that Vanilla Ice quote where he's just like talking about how he didn't steal that line. He's like, no, it's like dun 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 dun.
yeah,
And but that what if it was dun 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 dun? And
yeah, no,
you're like,
I
well, maybe
literally,
make it more like dun dun dun. It's like 40 people just going back and forth with
I,
like how
so
you're gonna make that sound. You're like, God damn, get me out of this.
there's a clip of him. He's in court trying to fight. He's trying to fight. I swear to God, this is a clip. He's in court, and he says to the judge, "No, Queen's song goes dun 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 dun. Mine goes ding 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 ding." You just changed the word. It's the same note. Like,
Yeah.
You have to admire the balls,
like, are you joking? This is
He's like, to a
ridiculous.
musical savant like myself,
Yeah.
I can hear the difference. You can't hear the difference? It's like,
Like,
all
I
right,
understand why to a layman that might sound similar.
Yeah.
But to us in the industry, totally different. I want to put things under a microscope here, Judge, but
It's still his biggest song. Like, he lost a bunch of money from it because Queen sued the crap out of him. But still, like, that song is still played,
yeah.
which is so crazy. Like,
it's that one and then the Ninja Turtle one.
yeah, Ninja Rap.
That's his whole career.
Yeah, which is
Didn't-
kind of sad, And like he
And then
did, like,
showing up in new Adam Sandler movies.
yeah, he's like in Adam Sandler movies, and he does like weird VH1 reality shows, like
Yeah.
Celebrity Fit Club or something.
That's the saddest thing is thinking about like washed up stars and musicians going in 15 years after their last notable achievement
Ugh.
in pop culture and pitching like terrible reality shows where they're like, look, man, all right, we got this great idea. I own a pizza parlor, but it's a bottomless pizza. But you've seen a topless pizza. This is a bottomless pizza parlor. So I'm making the dough with my balls out.
First of all,
And my mom's there and we don't get along.
that is hilarious, first of all, because you took a turn that I did not expect, which I thought when you said bottomless pizza, it was like, oh, you just
Like,
got pizza
all
the
you
time.
can eat pizza.
Not,
Feces.
not the opposite of Hooters, bottomless pizza.
Think CC's, but with taint.
You ever been to let me ask you this. Have you ever been to a Pizza Hut and asked yourself, hey, why isn't everybody's cock and balls out?
Yeah. You know how people talk about putting on stretchy pants? Problem solved.
It's a largely male client base.
Oh my god, dude. That's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh my God.
VH1. That's at least that's what it was in the early 2000s. I don't watch it anymore, but now it's like
It's
Love
still
and
a
Hip Hop
channel?
or something, right?
I don't even know. I have no clue what
Me
they do now.
neither. I haven't watched it in a long time. Maybe RuPaul's Drag Race. If that's on VH1, then they're doing fine. But
Yeah.
Was that Bravo?
if it's
I
Bravo,
don't
then
know.
forget it because it would make sense that it's Bravo. But yeah,
It's one of one of my coworkers
yeah,
was explaining to me like that we were talking about subscriptions, and I was like, do you have Hulu? And he's like, nah, man, I can't pay for anything else. And I'm like, well, what are you paying for now? And he's like, well, I got the HBO one, and then I got Netflix, and then I have cable through Comcast. And I'm like, why?
yeah.
He's
Why
like,
do you have cable?
well, I got like a deal on it and the internet and stuff like that. It's all tied together, and I like to watch this one. Like those are the people that are always like, I like to watch this sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's no other way to watch it. I said, well, how much do they charge you for it? And he's like, with my cable and my internet, it was like almost $400 a month.
That's
What?
ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I've been thinking about this idea forever. You're welcome to take it if you can do it. Just give me some sort of credit. Give me like 10% or 20%.
A wink and a nod to Mike Valdes.
I think that sports teams should have their own subscription service where you're like, oh, I like the Jets, and you pay $100 a year or however much a year, and you get all the Jets games, and you can watch them
That's
on
genius.
you can watch them on your phone, you can watch them on your tablet, you can watch them on TV, whatever you want, but unless you're like one of those weirdos that likes watching like every single team, but like majority of people are like, yeah, like I like the Red Sox, I like the Jets, and whatever, like I like the
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning, like those are my three teams and my three different sports that I like. Get the subscription for each team, not to mention you're also supporting the team that you like, so I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't work because then some teams wouldn't get that much money. Like the Dolphins
Yeah.
wouldn't be a team anymore.
Sucks to be a Bengal.
Well, we'll make it truly capitalist then. I think the only thing holding cable packages together are that weird employee and people over 70
Yeah.
and sports fans. I think that's it.
Honestly, I think the only reason for cable at all is for sports and for competition TV shows. So like if you're watching singing shows or like cooking shows or anything like that, that makes sense to have TV. But really, you don't really need like cable for anything.
No,
Yeah.
I
I
haven't had
pay
it.
$2,800 a year to watch The Masked Dancer.
Not even The Masked Singer, which is
Which is an
better of
actual
the Ken
show.
John things, I think. But
Oh my God. Well, you guys ready to dig into the word of God?
I'm so ready.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are looking at the story of Samson tonight. I've talked a good bit about how much I like the story of Samson on this podcast,
Mhm.
and we're finally going to dive into the deets, the dirty deets. How much of this story do you guys think you remember off the top of your head?
I would say at the very least 50%.
Okay.
I remember most of it.
Well,
But
we'll find out.
yeah, we'll find
Can
out. I mean, I know he was like BC The Rock, right?
Yeah. That's it. It was like Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah.
like
But The
in the
Rock is
Bible.
real. Like,
let me give
Yeah.
a plot
It's like
summary, and then you
meets
tell me if I'm
Hercules.
off
Yeah.
base.
It's like a Hercules kind of story.
yeah. And then
Okay, so
I know about that chick that apparently was so hot that he like had to have her, and then she was like, "But I want to give you a haircut," and he's like, "No, that's where my muscles are." I don't know if those are the exact words in the Bible. We'll
No,
get
that
into
is.
it,
That's
but
the exact quote. You got it. I'm glad you still remember that.
I like it because it's seasonal. Like, I don't remember all the details, but at some point in the story, don't they like glue him into a Santa suit and drop him off in the desert? He's got to get home in time to get his dad's Porsche.
I think you're thinking of "I'll Be Home for Christmas" with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
I don't know.
Well,
This story's different. This is the one where he finds Santa on the roof and he says, "Hey," and he falls off and then he becomes Santa.
yeah, I was thinking it's more like that movie where Michael Keaton becomes a snowman after he dies.
Yeah, a snowman who strangely looks like George Clooney.
Sounds like Michael Keaton and is a better dad than
By
a
the
real
way,
dad.
fun fact, not to completely deviate us again, the reason why the snowman in Jack Frost looks like George Clooney and not like Michael Keaton is because George Clooney was supposed to be Jack Frost, but he dropped it so he could do Batman and Robin.
No way.
Yep.
He
You
dropped
get to
being
be
a
a part of
snowman.
cinema history.
Yeah.
You got to take that chance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, both really went down as legends.
Yeah.
He just wanted that Bat Visa card.
What's kind of
And
what's
he loved
also
the nipples are what sold him.
yeah. I think
The bat nipples.
what's really nuts is you would think like, oh, it's George Clooney, so like this is a huge deal, and he's playing Batman, so he's top billed. He's actually third billed in that movie. Did you know that? He's like the third most well-paid actor on that set. The highest paid actor on that set was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
he didn't have nearly as much screen time. I feel like Mr. Freeze didn't have a ton of screen time in that movie.
No,
he had all the best puns.
Yeah, I agree. Which, by the way,
forecast a freeze.
Arnold Schwarzenegger could have played Samson.
By the way, Arnold was their third choice. Their first choice for Mr. Freeze, please guess.
Vanilla Ice.
No,
Mr. Freeze. God, who would it be?
it was
I
Hulk
don't know. Sean
Hogan.
Connery.
Their number one choice was Hulk Hogan, dude. That would have been awful.
I want to. You know what I want to see? I want to see that movie with all the original cast choices before people dropped off. That would, because I heard was Clooney not one of the. Was he not first in line to play
No,
Batman?
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be I don't remember who it was supposed to be, but it wasn't Clooney. He was probably like second or third. You know what's funny is I think Affleck was supposed to do it. Maybe I'm wrong, but a young Affleck was supposed to do it. Maybe
like Geely era.
Yeah, Geely era. Affleck. Yeah. I don't remember 100%. I just remember I was listening to some movie podcast where they were talking about this, and I was like, in what world is Hulk Hogan your first choice for Mr. Freeze? Like, what in the world? Like, in that, when you look at it like that, you're like, thank God Arnold Schwarzenegger did it. Because, like, because you watch that movie and you're like, wow, what a terrible Mr. Freeze. And you're like, actually, you'd be surprised.
It could have been worse.
Boy, we dodged the bullet here.
Every single one of the casting options would have been worse if they went with the first option, which shows you who was fucking behind the production on that film. Like, who was calling the casting call shots? I hope that they
think of how much time he would have spent in special effects trying to cover up his hot dog skin.
The only one that I know that was not the first choice other in Batman movies was Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was not the first choice for the Riddler. It was actually Robin Williams.
Oh,
Which that I could definitely see, but I do think that what they did with Jim Carrey, or what Jim Carrey did for that movie, he kind of put glitter on a turd, if that makes any sense. Like, he's the best
yeah,
part of that movie, and that movie
yeah.
sucks. You know, like,
It sucks bad.
like, like you're
It's
like,
not
oh,
even hokey enough to be fun.
yeah, you're like, thank God Jim Carrey's in this, and he's like actually funny in this, because like this movie is terrible otherwise.
Dude, I heard that Sean Connery was approached to play Gandalf.
Oh yeah,
Whoa,
Sean
that would've been
Connery.
weird.
Sean Connery, I think was number 2 to play Mr. Freeze. It was either Sean Connery or it was Anthony Hopkins. That's who it was, Anthony Hopkins. Which
What?
what a
Oh, I don't
weird
want that for
choice.
Anthony.
What a weird
Yeah.
choice.
God.
Anyway,
I feel
let's
like
go back to Samson.
So, all right, Samson.
The
So
Hulk
the
Hogan of
first-
his time.
This is it basically is only it's only 4 chapters. It's in the book of Judges. All the judges are basically just like, Israel doesn't have a king. They're basically in shambles. They keep being occupied by other nations, and it's all like every time they introduce a new judge, they're like, it starts off with, once again the Israelites were, offending God and being awful in His sight. So they get punished, and then a judge comes up to try to, help out. I guess it's very arbitrary who these judges are in some form or fashion. But Samson has kind of the most mythic story around him, and they pull in a lot of the parallels and motifs that you see throughout, really throughout the Bible and even other ancient like literature when it comes to his mom was barren and could never have children, but then an angel of the Lord came to her and was like, "You're gonna have a child," and everyone's like, "Holy shit, no
Yeah.
way! This has never happened before."
Yeah. He's gonna be so strong. He's gonna punch his way out of your pussy.
Just ultimate punch right out onto the floor.
I'm just reading the the New English translation. That's what I said. It says, and Gabriel said he will punch his way out of your pussy. That's what it says. Yeah.
Some babies come out head first, some come out feet first. He came out fist first.
Yeah.
Superman style.
Yeah.
Like a zombie movie.
Yeah.
So,
which is really beautiful, because he ends his life trying to get through the walls too. So like
We see the classic
kind of just
progression.
leaves the world the way that he came in, just punching through the walls, The church is pussy, if you will.
The uterine punch as a literary device.
Yeah.
So it starts out with basically, once again, the Israelites, for like the 600th time, did whatever they wanted, told God to fuck off, both in word and deed. And God decides that He's going to give them a cosmic spanking. So all of His righteous fury is bestowed upon them, and the Philistines decide that they're going to go in and basically whoop all their asses, and they like occupy them for like, I think it was like 60 years, but I can't entirely remember the dates because I'm not a dates guy,
Isn't like the Old Testament, like 78% of the Old Testament is just the Israelites being like, harder, daddy.
Yeah. By the way, I really want to go back to this like gold mine that you just like went through. Like, it wasn't the funniest thing you've said so far, which is God gave them a cosmic spanking. That is such a funny phrase. What does that even mean? A cosmic spanking. Like,
It's like, did you ever play Clay Fighter?
yes.
It's like when you'd punch
63
somebody in
and
Clay
1/3.
Fighter and the little chunks would fly out, but imagine those but dead kids.
Oh no. Porky, where are the kids? Oh man.
All right. So we need to set the stage for a mythic hero to come. Like I said, there's a barren woman. She was told by an angel that she will in fact have a son. The woman does not have a name in the story because why would she?
Oh my
Uh,
A
god.
recurring theme.
that's how these books work.
That's true.
So the only rule is that I love this. It says the only rules, she can't drink wine or any other intoxicant, which leads me to believe that she smokes a lot of weed.
Let me ask you this. This is a question I just realized here. Does the Bible pass the Bechtel's test?
The Bechdel's
What's
test.
the Bechdel test?
It's so the Bechtel test was created by a woman. I forget her first name, but her last name is Bechtel, and she basically has a theory that most movies where there is a woman on screen, it is usually because there is a man on screen, and if it's just a scene where it's two women, are they talking about a man? And if there is a scene where two women are not talking about a man, then it passes the Bechdel test because
Oh,
she's trying to prove that a lot of movies don't write well for women, which is actually kind of true when you really think about it. There's very few movies where women are talking about anything that isn't a guy because most stories are written by men, like, and it's very like, you know, like for example, once you learn about the Bechdel test, you start to realize how like poorly written Christopher Nolan movies are because women are literally only used as a plot device. Like it's only so the man is like, I have to do this because she is my heart and she's gonna die or
oh,
whatever. Like literally everything is about like, it's all like to serve the man. So now I'm thinking about it. Would the Bible pass the Bechdel test?
No.
absolutely not.
Because I don't think there's even a verse where women talk to each other about anything that isn't involving a man.
Yeah, because even here, the only person here is a woman being told by an angel that she will have a son.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
even then, like well, I mean, because I'm trying to think of like other stories. Like I'm sure Mary and like Mary Magdalene and like Mary, the other Mary, or weren't there like multiple Marys? Like,
there's a few.
yeah, they were like talking to each other, but every time you would read about them talking to each other, it was usually about Jesus, and
Ugh,
Jesus was a man.
always about Jesus in this book. Come on, it's like start a religion about him. Why don't you? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like
Oh,
they
excuse
never
me.
yeah, like they're never like, hey Mary Magdalene, like how are the grapes this season? Like it's never anything like that. Like it's always like everything is about Jesus or everything is about another one of their kids who is also a man. It's weird. I don't know.
Momentary sidetrack though. Do you remember or recall any movies that passed the Bechdel test?
Um, I gotta be honest, not off the top of my head. The point, the
Inside Out.
yeah, maybe, yeah. The point of that test is to kind of make you realize that like, women aren't really are mostly used for devices in movies. Um, probably Ladybird. That's probably one that passes the
That's
Bechdel
a
test
great movie.
with flying colors.
Yeah,
Um,
that's interesting. I've never thought about that, but it's true.
yeah,
Even like all of a sudden you got all these movies and shows with like a female protagonist,
hmm
and like so much of what they write them doing, like the motivation is based on like getting back at a man
yeah.
or proving to a man that they can do it and stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Even Captain Marvel is about a woman, right? The whole movie is about a woman, but why is she doing it? For a man. Because like she's doing it because she wants to be an Avenger with Nick Fury or she wants to prove her dad right or she wants I mean it's all about men, like literally. Even though her whole thing is I'm a woman and I don't need men and it's like but your motivation kind of says you do, you know? So
I have not seen that, but that stands. I mean, I guess that follows in the footprints
I mean, the movie
of
isn't good,
other
so don't
Marvel
watch
movies. It's
it.
not good.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't like it that much.
I'm a Wonder Woman too, man.
Yeah. When it comes to bad movies, I'm a Wonder Woman 2 kind of person.
I like when she lassos clouds.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Anyway.
Sam.
All right.
Anyway, go
So
ahead.
she can't smoke weed. She can't drink wine. and you
The
can't eat
angel
anything
says this?
unclean. Yeah, well, he says other intoxicants. So this bitch is doing shrooms or smoking a shitload of weed, and he's
Okay.
like, "You gotta stop." And
He
you also can't cut his hair because I mean, someday millennial soccer moms will need a role model for how to raise their son Declan, and
It's
they
very
can't
true.
cut.
It's very true.
Uh, so if she does all of God's will, they'll be delivered from the Philistines. And also, shout out to God for having an early understanding of the dangers of fetal alcohol syndrome,
Yeah,
and,
shout
and
out
how
God.
that might have an impact on her son delivering a nation from the iron fist of the Philistines. But so this nameless woman tells her husband, who does have a name, his name's Manoah. Not
No,
It sounds like manure now
not
that I'm
not
thinking about it.
Manua, but Manila.
Yeah. So he's like, she tells him about it, and he's like, I don't know if I buy that.
He
I don't think I
says, "Shut
trust
up,
you.
bitch! You don't have a name." That's what he says.
Exactly. So he naturally assumes
He
that
was the
women.
Andrew Dice Clay of his time. He was like,
Yeah,
"Shut up, bitch! You don't even
he
have a
was.
name." It was super weird. Like there were 50 other Philistines shouting it with him. It was super weird.
She really lost the crowd with that one.
Who's the recently deplatformed guy who says women are stupid?
I don't know, but he's wrong. Um,
Oh
um,
my God, Casey, who is, you know him? He's
Be
like,
a senator?
no.
that
He was
sounds
like
about right.
a bunch of incel boys loved him, and he was all about
Oh,
Oh,
masculinity.
Andrew Tate.
God.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
Andrew Tate.
Andrew
Yeah.
Tate. So
He's gonna
yeah,
be a
Andrew Tate
senator.
vibes. Yeah, he will be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is he a
Um,
senator? That's
so he assumes that she's lying, so he's like, or just wrong. So he pleads with God to send the messenger back, and he does send the messenger to his wife again, and she immediately runs to get her husband and was like, "Come quick!" And that's something he usually does, but in a
yeah.
different
And
context
then
this
he's like,
time.
"I
So
already did." Oh, he was a really weird Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, that's what it says here on my version. It's the
I like this version of
yeah.
him.
I read the message remix. That's what I read. Yeah.
So I like it because the man gets the chance to talk to the angel this time,
Yeah.
and
So now
he,
we actually know that stuff is gonna get done.
yeah,
So stupid, man.
exactly.
I'm so
So
sorry to any women that are listening to this podcast. I'm joking. I'm so sorry.
I'm hoping that people will all understand that all the sexist commentary here
Yeah. Is a
They,
comes
they
complete
into
can
it.
joke.
follow along.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
fine.
So Manoah says to the angel of the Lord, "Let us detain you and prepare a kid for you." Some more Warren Key stuff here, really.
Yeah.
But the angel of the Lord says, "If you detain me, I shall not eat your food. And if you present a burnt offering to me, do it unto the Lord." And he's like, "What's your name, dude?" And the angel gets really mad about it and is just like, "You must not ask for my name. It's unknowable." He gets really defensive about getting asked his name. So
Okay.
basically, that ends that. And then Samson is born.
What a
I think,
strange detail to put in.
That is a
yeah.
strange
My
detail.
name
Well,
is unknowable.
the man, Manoah still didn't know that this was an angel. This is actually pretty funny
Okay.
because he figures it out in one of the more obvious ways to figure it out. It says, Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely." The angel. Ooh, guess I had my notes in my verses set up wrong. It says, he does the burnt offering to the Lord. And it says, "As the flames leaped up from the altar toward the sky, the angel of the Lord ascended into the flames of the altar, while Manoah and his wife looked on, and they flung themselves on their faces to the ground. And Manoah said to his wife, 'We shall surely die, for we have seen a divine being.' And his wife is like, 'Look, dumbass, had the Lord meant to take our lives, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a meal offering from us. Now let us see to all these signs, and I won't drink or smoke or have any fun for the next 9 months while you can party it up with your friends, just like a good husband.'
Yeah.
And so then she has her son, Samson. Now, Samson is a really cool guy because his life immediately starts out with trying to steal a child bride.
Nice.
Oh.
So,
And how old is he?
we don't actually know that, but
Okay.
I'm thinking. So it starts. Chapter 14 is where we get Samson. Samson goes down to Timnah, which is, I'm assuming in Philistine. The
Mhm.
Philistines occupy that area as well. And he sees, I didn't really notice it before, but he goes, this is, the parts that are kind of skipped over. It says he saw a girl among the Philistine women. So it does make the point that there are women there, and then there's a girl, and that's the one that Samson likes. And
Okay.
Samson goes home and tells his parents that he wants them to fetch her as his wife. And his parents are like, is there literally anybody else that you could marry?
Is there
That isn't from
literally
the group of.
anybody your age that you like?
No, the problem was that she was a Philistine, and they're subjugated. So he's just
Oh,
like, no,
yeah,
I want that one.
because 'cause they're
And then
racist, I remember. Yeah.
I think what's cool is this story. So he and his parents go and basically decide that yeah, she will be your wife. And it says that I'll do a little bit of Bible reading here.
What a romantic story.
He goes, Samson says, "Get me that one, for she is the one that pleases me." And his father and mother did not realize that this was the Lord's doing. He was seeking a pretext against the Philistines, for the Philistines were ruling over Israel. So Samson and his father and mother went down to Timnah, and when he came to the vineyards of Timnah, a full we'll get to that in a second, because this is when the shit gets weird. Well, it's already weird, but
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
like it.
say there's
So
it's been
Samson's
weird.
like he kind of goes full youth pastor on this one, right?
Sure.
Because he ends up going back to marry this person after he goes back with his, it's like kind of, what it's like? It's like when you pick out your puppy, right?
Yeah.
A dog has puppies and you go, they're 3 weeks old. Let's go pick one out. And you go, ooh, I like that one. That one pleases me. And
Yeah.
then you go back 16 weeks later or whatever it is to go get it when it's old enough to come back. So he kind of goes full youth pastor. He says, I like that one. He leaves for a year. And it's kind of like waiting for the hot one to graduate or turn 18 and then
Yeah.
start dating her. So
That sounds you
it's
know
not
what
all bad.
you know what that sounds like also? To make it that is a very good analogy, but also I would use the analogy of guys who will watch a Disney Channel show or whatever, but like they're like clearly in their 20s and they'll be like, "Oh, that Selena Gomez is going to grow up to be super hot." And
Yeah.
they like wait for her to get a certain age. And then they're like, "Oh, now I can be open about how much I like Selena Gomez," right? This isn't a
This one hits
personal thing at
awfully
all,
close to home.
but no, I wasn't like that. But I do remember at one point I was when I lived in Tennessee, I had a friend. We were watching iCarly, and and he said this about Jeanette McCurdy. He said, "Man, when she grows up, she's gonna be so hot." And I was like, "She's 12." So,
Yeah, you can't.
but some people just know, and that's
Oh.
the thing. Samson just knew. You
Yeah.
know, I don't have that magic. When I see a kid, I'm like, oh, that's a kid. You shouldn't think about them sexually. But some people just have that spiritual gift of being able to look at a kid and know that they're going to be hot when they're of legal age. And
And you find somebody with that gift,
yeah,
make them a deacon.
yeah,
You got to be always looking for the right spiritual
it's
leadership on your
true.
team.
Yeah, we all have spiritual gifts, and that is the spiritual gift that I was not given. But yeah,
Mine is cooking a hot dog to the perfect doneness without splitting the casing.
well, that's
There
a
it is.
great spiritual gift.
Nobody's sending me invitations to be on the team.
Oh man.
All right. So on Samson's journey, this is I I can't think of a more. This is one of those scenes like if you were making a movie that you'd be like, oh my god, the director's cut for
Yeah.
this is coming out for this movie that I love, and then you get to that new scene and you're just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense,
Mhm.
and you realize why they cut it out, and that's what this next part feels like. So this is when Samson and his father and mother are on their way down to Timnah, and it says, when he came to the vineyards of Timnah, a full-grown lion came roaring at him, and the Spirit of the Lord gripped him, and he tore him asunder with his bare hands, as one might tear a kid asunder. But he did not tell his father and mother what he had done. Then he went down, spoke to the woman, and she pleased Samson. Now returning the following year to marry her. The following year, Casey, I know you find a lot of dead animals in your backyard, so you can tell me exactly
Found one
how this
today.
one plays out. He turned aside to look at the remains of the lion. In the lion's skeleton, he found a swarm of bees and honey. He scooped it into his palms and ate it as he went along. When he rejoined his father and mother, he gave them some of the honey, and they ate it, but he did not tell them that he had scooped the honey out of a lion's skeleton.
Wow.
I mean,
So
a year is a good amount of time, right? Because there's a period in there where a dead creature goes from like lasagna to like
yeah,
roadside beef jerky,
yeah.
and
That's
he's
usually
definitely in the jerky stage.
that's the part, that's the director's cut, is him walking back 6 months and he's like, "Oh, there's lasagna in the skull. I should probably wait until there's honey in there."
Yeah.
He was just he's just strutting along, thinking about ripping kids asunder.
That's
You know,
okay, so there's a lot of things I wanted to talk about. So it says he ripped the lion as if a man would rip a kid asunder.
Kid
like when
would
they
be a
won't stop
baby
telling
goat.
you knock knock jokes.
Kid is baby goat
Okay, because I
for
think
anyone.
kid, like
Like
I'm like,
Mike Warnke
is
thinks
this
it's
guy Mike Warnke?
yeah.
Dude, I want this to be a thing so bad. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was like,
I
wait a
will.
minute,
It's
is
a
this
thing.
Mike Warnke? Like, is he ripping kids apart from the mouth? Like that's nuts.
So
Uh
I am reading from a Jewish study Bible,
yeah, which is the
which I
correct
find
version.
right, the
Yeah.
correct way to do this. And I kind of like some of the cool commentary on this though is like they're like, yeah, these things are clearly put into the story. Like what it's trying to do is indicate that this wild ass fucking thing happened
Mhm.
and he didn't tell anybody. Like they make a point to let you know that he didn't tell anybody about it, and that you would never in a million billion trillion years guess or think that something like this could happen. And this plays later on because he tells when he so on his way back to marry his child bride is when he pulls the honey out of the carcass or the remains of the lion, and it's like, and then he doesn't tell like his mom and dad where it came from. So
So
now
It's
he
what
like,
you're
why
goes,
are your
saying,
fingers sticky?
yeah.
yeah,
So
what you're saying is, and he's like, "Well, I saw Delilah, but anyway, I so
hey there, Delilah.
yeah. Hey
Uh,
there, Delilah. What's it like to be a Philistine?" Anyway, what I was trying to say was, um, Samson was born a couple thousand years too early for the Netflix true crime documentary that would have been done about the man that just did stuff like that, because he sounds like a serial killer.
oh, dude, this guy is one of the most unhinged people, and I love his like. It's basically a revenge story that just escalates. Like, fight. It's psychopathic, and that's why it needs to be someone who isn't a Christian needs to make this a movie, and I think it would be fucking
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Uh,
And
so
also another thing that I want to say is that the Bible has to also let us know that when he visited his underage girlfriend, that she gave him a tug before he left. I love that. That's great. He's like, "Don't cut my hair, but you can touch my wiener if you want."
but do not accidentally trim a millimeter off of my pubes because
Yeah.
my power also lies in those. Uh,
That's so. Hang on a second. Wait. Now we're opening up a can of worms. Hang on just a second, because I need, and this is for science, guys. Okay,
okay,
so let's say this is my assumption. Spoiler alert: this is Delilah, correct?
it is not.
It's not. Okay, so
No.
this underage chick, right? We all remember our first time, and especially our first time with someone who is also their first time. What's great about it is that the both of you suck at it, right?
Yeah.
You don't
Yes.
realize that you suck at it, but you do, right? And here's the thing with guys, we've been touching our schlagen flogging for years. We've been practicing this whole time, right?
Yeah.
And
Getting ready for the big day.
getting ready for the big day. So like the girl hasn't learned, like, don't use your teeth, like she hasn't learned like anything, you know what I mean? Especially like godly women, like you like really have to sit them down, like, okay, like don't use your teeth and like, all this stuff. So what I'm saying is there a possibility that she was tugging him like super hard, and there's a possibility that he had to be like don't tug too hard, because if one of my pubes falls off, I'm gonna lose all of my muscles. Like,
I think it's a
was
real
he could
possibility.
he have possibly been one crazy hand job away from losing his strength?
I'm open to that interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It speaks to me in my spiritual journey.
And
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
like the idea of like his strength being contained in his hair. So like
Yeah.
somebody follows behind him, like picking pubes off the urinal mints and like selling them as steroids to other boys at the time. Like they're the like raging
That
rhino
is
boner pills at the
hilarious.
gas station, and it's just Samson's pubes.
And then there's like there's one Philistine that has to tell the rest of the Philistines, like, guys, I have only been eating liver, but I have to admit I was eating Samson's pubes. That's
there's like,
a good Liver King reference for you guys.
Oh my god.
I've
That's
been eating
amazing.
Samson's pubes, and that's why I'm so swole right now. Samson's
he wasn't even going to originally say anything about it, but he kept talking, and as he would talk and smile, they're like, "What is stuck between your teeth, my guy?"
Why does your
It's just
smile have a mustache?
out of all of his teeth, they're just like tickling the people he's too close to when he talks. He whispers into someone's ear.
It's got a little whistle to it.
Oh my
And when he talks, when he says S's.
Because yeah, that's the thing, is I don't think the Bible ever actually said that it was Samson's head hair. It just said his hair in general. So like,
Yeah.
so that's the thing, man. We get hair all over the place as guys. So it's like you mess up one pube, then all your strength is gone.
Yeah,
You
I'm
gotta
a
be.
biblical literalist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if
Mhm.
you're a biblical literist, then that means you have to like keep those pubes. You have to braid those pubes, dude.
We actually do find out he had his hair in locks in 7 sections, so it seems like he had some nasty ass dreads going on.
He had to, because that was the other question that I was going to have, is like, that I was going to ask you, is like, if he never cuts his hair, I mean, it's got to be like yards and yards and yards of hair, right?
Well, they always picture him as like having the long Fabio
But it's got to be
drip,
longer
you
than
know,
that.
and
It's got to be
like-
longer than that.
Yeah, like
And-
waist, at least waist length.
Yeah.
if I let my hair grow, like my hair's not gonna go down. My hair's just gonna go out.
Right.
It's just gonna be like this big fuzzy mess, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger throughout my whole life,
Yeah.
to the point where like it's starting to affect like my spinal integrity, you know?
Yeah.
Which is why you got it chemically straightened in college.
Exactly, you know?
Did you get it chemically straightened?
Well, get it is a funny word. I did it.
Right.
I got dark and lovely at CVS and then let April burn my scalp.
Oh my goodness.
God, he was committed to the game, and he needed that emo swoop. So,
Dude, your first mistake was getting it at CVS. That was your first mistake. Like, why
did
would
it.
you get that?
At one
Awful.
point, I remember I went to my first year at Liberty. I went to the mall to like a mall salon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I want to get my hair like relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, okay. You know, you could tell like I was the first like white dude to come in and ask for that.
Yeah.
And the lady doing it, she did not know what she was doing. And
Yeah.
she left it on way too long. And dude, like, I couldn't take a shower for like a week. It was like I was like the original, I'm like patient zero for monkeypox on my scalp, you know?
Wow. That's awful, man. What a
God.
bummer.
Burned my skin off.
Oh my god. Dude, that's insane. So this dude must have had, dude definitely had dreads for sure, but
yeah,
like,
oh, for sure.
but his dreads were like yards and yards, like they were on the
And they were
floor.
probably gnarly. He only had 7 of them, so they were probably pretty gnarly looking.
Yeah.
I guarantee bugs lived in them and shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and shit, like literal shit.
Yeah, and bugs and shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're really long. It's hard
Yeah.
to keep them out of the
Bird,
outhouse
he would-
hole.
in his sleep, they would just get stuck between his butt cheeks.
yeah.
Yeah,
Most
like
people have-
basically a Borat monokini made of hair.
Most people have dingleberries, but have you ever had Samson berries? that's when you have shit in between your dreads.
Little Sam apples.
Oh my god! All right, now let's get to how this guy just completely falls off and loses his cool multiple times. So now it's his wed. He comes back. He goes to his wedding, and he's a stranger in the land. He's got his wedding feast going on, and in the heart of drunken banter, he decides to make a wager, and he says, "Let me propound a riddle to you. If you can give me the right answer during the 7 days of feast." We'll come into a little bit of a timeline error here, so I'm not sure how the story got redacted to make this work. But so he said, "I shall give you 30 linen tunics and 30 sets of clothing. But if you are not able to tell me, you must give me 30 linen tunics and 30 sets of clothing." And they said to him, "Ask your riddle." And his riddle is, "Out of the eater comes something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." And it was not his semen.
Yeah.
In case you guys need a little bit of a hint before we get to what it was.
It's more tangy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on the seventh day, the Philistines said to Samson's new wife, they said, "Coax your husband to provide us with the answer to the riddle, or else we shall put you and your father's house to the fire and burn you all to death. Did you invite this asshole here to impoverish us?" And Samson's wife was like terrified of being burned to death.
Of course.
So she harasses him with tears and asks, like, "Oh, you hate me. If you really loved me, you'd give me the riddle. You'd tell me the answer to this riddle." So he eventually tells her. She tells the people. And on the seventh day, before the sun set, the townsman said to him, "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" And Samson goes, I don't really know what connection he's making here, but he goes, "Had you not plowed with my heifer, you would not have guessed my riddle."
Jeez.
Not a great way to talk about your
boy.
new wife.
Yikes, a boonga.
No, but he's actually not talking.
Jeez.
He is actually not talking about his wife.
Let's get ready for some mental backflips here. Go ahead.
Samson responded with a riddle. He compares the woman. Oh, he does. Holy shit. I was wrong. He compares the woman to a heifer.
That's definitely what he's going to do, because what he's saying in that scripture is, you definitely found out this answer, and who told them it was his wife. Like, it wouldn't be his actual cow. So that's why I was like, dude is just like calling his wife a freaking heifer. It's awful.
Well, it gets better from here though, because
oh, does it?
this is when the Spirit of the Lord grips him.
Okay,
and
thank God.
I like the continual usage of the word that he is gripped by the Spirit of the Lord. So now he owes these guys 30 outfits or whatever the fuck. So he went down to a town.
I just
and
love
killed.
imagining Samson going through his closet like, "Oh my God, I have to find 30 outfits for these guys. Never gonna find these outfits. I can't part with this one. I can't part with this one."
It's like you look around and you're like, everyone has one shirt in the entire country. Where am I supposed to get 30 shirts?
You're on the right track, Casey, because he goes down to the I don't know, a town near them, I suppose, and he just slaughters 30 men.
Macy's at the town near them.
Just kills 30 men and takes their clothes. He strips them naked and brings them back and is like, here's your fucking clothes.
It feels like just dripping with gore.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Now,
my shirt's bleeding. Shut up.
Now,
you wanted shirts? Here's your shirts, dude. These smell. They smell like a corpse.
So that's the first thing that sets him off.
This shirt looks like my son.
Literally just skin it, like their skin is still inside the shirt. He just
so
straight up
bad.
like Buffalo Bobbed him.
Jesus, this is so bad. Oh my God, the Bible is so gory, man.
So gory. Now, So after this, this is on the 7th day of his wedding feast. Samson has the working theory is that he's yet to consummate his marriage, and he's so fucking mad that he just like
Still?
leaves. Yeah, 7 days. Because I don't know, maybe the official wedding is after the day 7, and that's when he can consummate. But
he's got the blue ball crankies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
that's like it. If he got tugged off beforehand, maybe he wouldn't have killed 30 people and thrown shirts at other people.
Yeah.
That's
Would have
called
made shirts out of
self-care.
all those kids.
So sometime later in the season, during the wheat harvest, Samson comes to visit his wife and brings a kid as a gift. Yes. And he says, "Let me go to the chamber of my wife," but her father wouldn't let him go. And her dad was like, oh, God, the Bible, man. I lost my notes here. 1 second. I got to get reorganized. All right. Yeah. So Samson's father-in-law.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His father-in-law is like, yeah, I wasn't sure that you'd be coming back, and I thought you might have taken a dislike to her. So I actually just gave her to one of your groomsmen.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
He wanted to turn her room into a billiard parlor.
Wow.
He's like, you got to be out of the house one way or another, husband or not, by the end of the day. Because I put a down payment on a pool table, and it's being delivered this afternoon.
That's very funny.
Now, the father-in-law, look, he's not a total asshole, because he's like, yeah, I thought you might have taken a dislike to her, so I gave her to your wedding companion. But her younger sister is more beautiful than she is.
Oh my God.
You can have her instead.
He doesn't have favorites, clearly.
Yeah. So that really pissed Samson off.
Of course.
So
I'm not waiting for her to turn 18. I want someone now. My balls can't get any bluer.
He didn't seem to really care about his, I don't know. His really, like, he had his wedding feast for 7 days, killed 30 people, left, came back sometime later. Yeah. He was like, "Hey, I'd like to have sex with my wife now." And her dad's like, "Yeah, we thought you were done with this. So you can have her younger sister." Now, Samson's super pissed off. So the first idea that comes to his mind is to tie a bunch of torches to 300 foxes' tails and then set them loose on grain fields and vineyards.
Wow.
Is he Macaulay Culkin from The Good Son? He's got those vibes.
I'm actually more surprised at how he's going to find 300 foxes.
I know, right? He's a good trapper keeper.
Yeah.
That's what they call him.
That is what they call him, yes.
So the Philistines are like, Jesus, what the fuck? Who did this? And then someone, and then they find out that Samson did it and why. And, they definitely direct their negative energy towards the right people. So what they do is they, after having their fields burned and their vineyards burned, they decided to set Samson's wife and father-in-law on fire. Now they're dead.
Wow.
Oh, and they did.
And now they're dead. Yeah. So there's like, we'll just burn, look, our fields, your wife and father-in-law, just set them all on fire. So this seems to make Samson a little bit less mad than finding out that his wife was fucking another guy. So Samson just like beats the shit out of a few of them and then goes and hides somewhere in Judah.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like, I mean, I'm not Samson, but like, you come back and you're like, "I'd like to have sex with my wife, please." And then they're like, "Oh, we just gave her to your groomsmen." Yeah, you have every reason to be mad, do your thing. And then they're like, and then the Philistines are like, "Hey, guess what? We heard about that. We killed the dad. We know you don't like him, but also just to make sure that we got everything, we also killed your wife." Like, and then I'd be like, well, I mean, could I at least have sex with her before you kill her? Like, I don't know.
And Samson's response to people guessing his riddle was to murder 30 people, but his response to his wife being set on fire was to just like punch a bro in the face.
Yeah.
And then hide.
That's so weird.
It just goes to show you where he's making emotional investments,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Philistines go to look for him in Judah, and the people of Judah are like, Jesus, dude, why? Like, we're occupied by these people. You know that they rule us. Like, why are you fucking with them so bad? And so Samson's like, look, just tie me, like, just pretend like you've captured me. So they bind him up and bring him to the Philistines, and they're
He
like,
was
we found this guy, like, here you go, don't hurt us, because they were all like terrified for their safety.
the
So they
Jussie
bound him like
Smollett
a
of his
gimp on a
time.
Friday night, and after being, I think he was over, let's see, let me consult my notes real quick.
Well, I was just saying he was the Jussie Smollett of his time, because he was like, let's just
That
pretend like you're hurting me, and I'll make everybody feel bad.
that's it. So after he's handed over to the Philistines, the Spirit of the Lord once again grips him, and the ropes that Samson was tied up with fell off like they were tied by the new guy on the set of his first bondage porno. And then he sees conveniently a donkey's jaw chilling
Yeah.
on the ground, and he picks it up and he slaughters 1,000 people with it.
Wow.
Fucking, I
All
want to see that on film.
Yeah, all that to a Skillet soundtrack.
Yeah.
Beat me, Jesus!
I must confess that I feel like a monster.
Yeah.
That would instantly ruin what could be a good movie. And I could see that choice being made.
I definitely think that if it's made by Christians, all the fight scenes are going to have Skillet songs, and one of the Philistines is going to be played by John Cooper.
Instantly, it could go from being like a dope ass 300 style movie to like just being the shittiest fucking movie of all time. So it would turn into a movie that the Boys Bible Study podcast would cover.
That's why, you know, I was gonna say Steven Soderbergh, but like not Steven Soderbergh. Like, dude, I don't normally like this guy, but if Michael Bay made a Samson movie, oh my god, that would be so good.
It's tailor-made for him. It's the Transformers of the Bible, for sure.
It is the Transformers of the Bible.
You definitely need to update it and streamline some things that don't, like, so when he's like walking and then the lion shows up and then he sees it, like, look, you gotta go have a little creative license with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you can't let Christians make it, because
yeah.
they'll
How's
just
the lion going to turn into a car if Christians make it?
Exactly. It transforms into Bumblebee. That's the Beehive connection.
Yeah. You just
So
there's honey in the glove compartment. Like, wow, cool.
That really ups the resale value.
Just licking his fingers.
Tommy Boy quotes. So after he slayed 1,000 Philistines, apparently he was able to rule in the days of the Philistines for 20 years. So he was like the ruler of the Israelites, but under the occupation of the Philistines for 20 years. And then it's after that once Simpson has an interesting relationship to women.
I'm also very curious, and I'm sure the Bible does not say, but I'm trying to think of like what age he is when all of this is happening. Like, is he in his 20s and then does the 20 years of reigning for the Philistines?
He's gotta, right? I feel like,
or is he like, because then there's stories in the Bible where, like, David was probably 16 or less,
I think what's convenient about Sam, I mean, he has the temper of a 16-year-old.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that he's like, if you were the strongest man on the planet and you got angry, I mean, you could, it does make sense that he's like just undeveloped brain of a teenage boy. That checks out.
I really envision him being played by one of the Paul brothers.
Okay. Like Aaron Paul, or
like Logan, or whatever the other knuckle dragger.
Oh, the actual actors. Yeah.
Jake and Logan Paul.
Yeah, not Aaron Paul, not the bad actor.
I see when I think of Samson, the first person that comes to mind is Chet Hanks.
Hell yeah.
I want Chet Hanks to play Samson.
He just,
or like Justin Bieber, like in
he had an
like
accent.
when he's peeing in like mop buckets and stuff.
Can you imagine if if like for real, like if Samson was like Chet Hanks and he had like an accent that even the people that he lived around were like, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
Like
Some power move. I get it.
And everybody's scared to death to
yeah,
mention anything
because they're like,
about it.
if we say anything, he's gonna punch our head off and wear it on Halloween. Like
the out of towners like, so where are you from? Everybody's like, hey, no, don't.
Yeah,
Just leave it.
yeah. They're like, he's like, you see this shirt? This is my brother. he made this shirt out of my brother. Do you understand?
You can't mop up another town, so just
Yeah.
leave him alone.
Yeah, dude, that is so funny. You know what I'm thinking of? Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Like,
Fuck yeah,
like
dude.
everybody's
yeah.
just sucking that dude's dick because everybody's afraid that he's gonna kill them. Like,
He's Gaston. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
No one disembowels like Samson.
that's true.
Okay. So because look, this is gonna make me sound like a total novice, but I had a lot of notes prepared for the previous chapters. We're on chapter 16 now.
Okay.
It's the last chapter. I might have had my notes done if my children would go to bed, like, I don't know, children of better parents.
Yeah.
But I lost a lot of time in my evenings and over the past couple of days. So I don't have a ton of notes drawn up on chapter 16. This is where we get to Samson and Delilah, the more commonly known story.
So
I
you
will
would
have to
say
do-
that you yourself had a Samson moment with your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Weird
Are
how
they
that
okay?
works.
gave their clothes to somebody else.
You know, if you were a pastor and you were preaching on Samson, you would definitely tell that story on the pulpit. And you'd be
Yeah.
like, isn't that crazy? And then everybody'd be
Crazy.
like, I mean, that's not that crazy. It's probably crazy to you because it's personal, but like, you know, like to us, it's just like, cool, man. You
Yeah,
know?
it's another story. Yeah, we all have kids, bro. Like, who gives a shit about
Yeah,
you and your
we all
problems?
have kids. We all want to rip them apart like they're lions, you know, but
The Spirit of the Lord came upon me, and I just belted them until they quit crying.
yeah, just rip them apart, wait a year, and you get some honey. That's what they always say.
I think you're more likely to get mushrooms in the real world, you know?
Probably. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Like if you flip over a corpse, there's usually a mushroom there that'll get you high.
Yeah. So going back to what you were saying, was that what's it called? That now we're getting into Samson and Delilah.
Yep.
You're absolutely right in that I did not know this entire part about
Yeah.
the Samson story.
That's the part that people don't learn.
I
Because
thought
we all watched
it
a
was
little
like,
cartoon Bible movie about Samson and Delilah, where she looked like just a thirsty bitch who was like,
yeah,
"Oh, Samson, like,
yeah.
gross."
But
I
even
felt like
then,
I felt horny in the
was
kids
she?
movie that I had.
But even then, though, like, was she thirsty or was she just scared?
Right?
And that fear turned her on. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I'm so scared of him. I'm like kind of horny about it, you know? Like,
I think they had a real like Joker and Harley like mad love type relationship, you know?
possibly, yeah, that makes sense.
His Harley, her Joker. They had that on the back of their Honda Civic.
Yeah,
But before he did meet Delilah, so after his first wife was burned at the stake and he killed 1,000 people and presumably did not have sex again until chapter 16, Samson went to Gaza. I don't know where that is in relation to Judah,
yeah.
but he met a whore there. Those are the direct words of the Bible. I don't think we use that word anymore.
Now, by whore, do you mean some sort of animal or?
A kid. We mean a kid.
Oh my God, Warnke, what are you doing with this Bible?
This is the NWT, the new Warnke translation.
Yeah, Warnke like preaching from the pulpit. He's like, 2,500 years later, it's still relatable, you know?
So there he met a whore and he slept with her.
Yeah.
And the Gazaites
Wait a
learned that
minute, you sleep with whores?
Yeah, I know. He didn't just, let's be clear, he didn't meet her, shake her hand and say, "I bid you good day." He had sex with her.
It's
So
so it's so funny how like the Bible decides that that's what we need to know, as opposed to like had he just gone up to her and had a conversation with her for 3 minutes, that would actually be more interesting.
yeah,
Because I assume if you're talking to a whore that it's gonna be transactional at some point.
right. You would think that, but until you get to the New Testament and Jesus meets whores, and it's
Right,
like, and then he
which
talks
again
to them.
which again, this is a little hipster of me to say, but kinda cool about Jesus that he like,
He
Jesus is
didn't
a cool
like
guy.
pull out their spinal columns or
Yeah,
anything.
Jesus is a
Yeah.
cool guy, you know? I might get canceled for this, but Jesus was kinda cool.
No,
Like
I'm still in that camp. There is a growing movement of people who like to. I keep seeing it more and more. It's like Jesus was actually not even moral. He was kind of an asshole and a piece of shit when you think about it. And you're like, are we now? You sound
Yeah,
like the Christians I grew up with,
yeah,
trying to make it sound like everything has to fit into their little box in
yeah.
order to make their life as convenient as possible. Like,
Dude, you're
Yeah,
so
everybody
right.
loves
that
I
bothers
that
feel
me.
guy.
like I feel like that cancel culture, like people of that extreme, because of course, like with cancel culture and stuff like that, it's kind of weird to talk about because
I know, because
there's good things
Weinstein
that
just got convicted again, and you're just like, what the fuck,
well,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
there's good things that are happening and that there are pieces of shit who need to be stopped. Absolutely. But then also at the end of the day, like we're like, well, actually, if you think about it, Jesus is actually an asshole. Like, no, you're like completely overthinking this and like
yeah,
you're trying to it's essentially what like that version of cancel culture is what Christians were in the 90s, where it's
yeah,
like you can't listen to Kiss, that's Knights in Satan's service. Like you just made that
it's
up.
that,
Like
it's that.
that's not what Kiss means. You made that up. Like
And I think what's also super funny about it is that it shows like the chip on their shoulder and their clear like bone to pick with Christianity, because
right.
they're not going to do that with any other religion,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to make this. They're not going to make judgments on the ethics or morality of Muhammad
Right.
at all. They would never touch that.
Right.
Uh, and I think that's what feels so disingenuous about it, is like you want to pick on to just pick Jesus as like your hill to die on, as like he's actually a bad person. It's like,
Right.
we don't even have that much written about him, and you don't
Right.
even believe the stories in that way. Anyway, I don't know. It's just very strange. It's a weird movement, and
It is a
I
weird movement.
I
I
don't
didn't know about
entertain
that.
it too
Yeah,
much.
that's really stupid to be
It's
honest.
Yeah,
the
It's
it's
like
a group of people who are like anyone who is sentient before 2014, myself included, are pieces of garbage.
yeah. Yeah. That's very true.
All right. So before we get to Delilah, I think it's important that we understand that Samson did have sex with this lovely sex worker.
Mhm.
Okay, to the updated version, and then
Who didn't have a name, of
yeah.
course.
So the people of Gaza kind of learned that Samson had come there, so they gathered and they lay in ambush for him in the town gate the whole night, and all night long they kept whispering to each other, "When daylight comes, we'll kill him." But Samson lay in bed only till midnight. He finished early. At midnight, he got up, grasped the doors of the town gate together with the two gateposts, and pulled them out along with the bar. He placed them on his shoulders and carried them off to the top of the hill that is near Hebron. He just lifted a building up and carried it up a hill, and that is all that is said about it. We after
That's
that, after that, he falls in love with a woman named Delilah. Like, that's the next verse. After that, he fell in love with a woman in the Wadi Sorek named Delilah.
So does the woman that he was, I mean, I guess this prostitute, male or female, any other role in the story, or just,
No,
he met this person and slept with them?
very
yeah.
inclusive, Casey, by the way. Very inclusive. I
Yeah,
love
I'm not
this.
ruling it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we don't
It
know.
seems like they're kind of, it's the running story of like all of his problems come through are related to the women that he sleeps with.
Yeah, he's kind of like a college bro in that he has to record every time he banged and tell
Yeah.
everybody about it.
No.
That's very
Uh,
funny.
Interestingly, though, Delilah is, I believe, the first name of a woman we get in the entire story.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Um
Remarkable.
we have the woman who was a child who became his wife. We have the whore, and then we get Delilah. And
Well,
And his mother.
we have his
mother
mom.
has no name.
Yeah.
His mother has no name. So yeah.
Also, I was gonna say that 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 verse where you're talking about like how he's like, I don't like where this building is. I'm gonna move it over here, and he just like Minecrafts that building
Yeah.
to like another place. Like it's I thought you know what I thought of? I thought of like that was like the original Chuck Norris jokes. Like you remember the Chuck Norris jokes when we were kids or when we were in high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it was like like I once heard Samson was so strong that he could go to a Kentucky Fried Chicken and turn it into a Taco Bell. Like
Samson could gargle peanut butter.
yeah. Samson had sex before his dad. Like
Samson could divide by 0.
yeah.
Apparently, just these are some fun tidbits that maybe they're just fun to me or people like me. But according to this Jewish study Bible that I'm holding, the town gate was an extremely heavy fortified structure with numerous rooms against the. I lost my spot. Preparations for. Why am I saying that? The town's. Okay. I'm not going to keep reading that. Point is, apparently up on that hill that he carried it to, there is a kind of like a fortress or fort-like structure.
Okay.
And the assumption is that this was written here to like that's at somehow that structure was associated with Samson, and like the myth of Samson bringing that up there is like how it got there, because there wasn't really a lot of understanding of how it did get there. So it's like Samson did it, and it just kind of is like a part of their mythos. I thought that was cool.
That is cool. He's like a lot some of these stories as well remind me of like when you would watch like a Christmas episode of a TGIF show and like and like Michelle would meet like an old man or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, my name's Nick," and then you find out his name's Saint Nick, and then she's like, "Oh, Saint Nick," and then you find out that he's like that's literally what it is. Like they're like, "How'd that building get there?" I don't know, Samson, man.
Oh my god. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That happens all the time in like 90s sitcoms too.
Yeah.
There's like always those special holiday episodes or whatever.
I didn't know that that this story was so TGIF sitcom friendly. Like
that's what we need. We need the version of this that's like a violent, brutal film.
Yeah.
And then we need like the version of this
that's a Boy
that
Meets
is
World
like
series.
a Netflix
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Of like just like comedy series.
Yeah. Starring like Noah, whatever his name is that all the girls like. The guy with the weird face. Sorry if you're listening. I know he listens every week,
but not much else to get into here because the Samson Delilah story is like the most obvious. So it's like he falls in love with her, and then the Philistines are like, "Yo, you got to tell us what to do because this guy carried our buildings away and killed our armies and has been burning our fields and basically fucked with us for the past 20 years." And
yeah,
Delilah is just like, "Tell me what makes you so strong," and he just lies to her 3 times. And for some reason, every time he's like, "Oh, this," he says, she's like, "Tell me what makes you so strong and how could you be tied up and made helpless?" Weird. Definitely into some kinky shit. Like,
yeah.
I think, if you phrase it that way, it's like, I want to, this is for sex stuff. And he's like,
yeah,
he thinks he's into it, but he's scared to tell his secret. So he probably tells her and then plays along. This is my working. I'm piecing this together as I go.
yeah.
So he tells her, and he thinks like, "Oh, if I'm going to tell her this lie because I need to keep my secret safe, but I'll just pretend to be weak and I can't get up while she's fucking me." And he's just into it. But then she's like, part of their role play, she's like, "The Philistines are attacking. The Philistines are attacking." And then he's just like, "Holy shit."
He throws her through the wall. Goes from reverse cowgirl, like tumbling out the window.
Yeah. Pile drivers are different for Samson. Yeah.
Uh, so his first lie is, if I were to be tied with 7 fresh tendons that had not been dried, I should become weak as an ordinary man. And that's when she really does. She bounds him with them, and then the Philistines ambush him, and she actually yells, "The Philistines are upon you!" And he wakes up and is like, "Oh, holy shit!" And then breaks the tendons. And then the next day, she's like, "You lied to me," and he's, it's like, "Yeah,
You snap
let
my fresh tendies.
So she does that to him like 3 times. And then finally it says he gets so sick of her nagging. Um, I think
What a hellscape this
I
book
know.
is.
This
I think
guy.
I think the idea is that, like, after hearing it so long, he's like, I really don't trust this person, but, like, they're just going off that pastor joke of, like, and he would rather risk his life and superpower than listen to a nagging woman. Right, everybody? Right? And the congregation just laughs, and women are like, "It's true, we're horrible."
Yeah, that low rumbling laughter that comes from the church crowd,
Oh
just like
my
her,
god.
her, 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 her.
Yeah. Yeah, the murmurs.
Oh my god,
So
dude. That's awful.
Eventually, she cuts his hair. Uh, he ends up they pluck his eyes out, and they just fuck with him. And they make him dance for him, and then
Yeah.
uh, they tie him to those pillars, and he prays. He prays to the Lord Almighty. He prays to the same God that we pray to today, right? The same power that's in Samson can be in us today. So he prays to that God, and God says, "You know what? Fuck the Philistines. These some loser ass bitches." And then he gives them super strength. And they're all in their temple, and he pushes the pillars down. The entire temple collapses, and I think he only kills like 3,000 people. It's kind of some weak ass
Yeah.
shit when you think about
It's
it.
enough to start a new clothing line though.
Yeah, 3,000 men and women on the roof.
It's enough for the initial public offering.
Yeah.
I
It's
like
like
to think
the seed money.
he's like right in the middle. Like one of the Philistines is right in the middle of like a stop hitting yourself routine when he snaps and just he's just Vegeta hits Super Saiyan 3 and destroys the whole place.
That's so funny.
I
Stop
picture
hitting
him charging up like oh god, it just slipped up. Who's the Dragon Ball Z? It
Yeah.
took too long for it to come to me. So
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, so I want to go all the way back. When Delilah cut his hair, what do you think she did? Like, did she like give him a fade? Like, did she give him a blowout? Like, what do you think?
kept
Reverse
it high and
Mohawk
tight.
seems to be like the ultimate troll.
Yeah, reverse mohawk maybe.
She
And
gives him
like,
the half bald like you know,
so
Samuel Jackson.
this is the thing that I was thinking about, and like, it's more, I guess it's a little bit more serious than it is funny, but like, so God is basically okay with him lying to people as long as it means that they don't cut his hair.
I think that's true. What he should have said is, "I can't tell you."
Yeah. Well,
You
to be
literally like
fair,
God seems to be, pretty removed from the all situations. It's just like
yeah.
he just grips him from time to time, and
Yeah. Well, because like, I mean, this is like, I actually, I'm glad that we listened, or that we went through this story, because I actually realized, as like funny as a lot of these things are, Samson is also very relatable in a lot of ways. Especially because for most of this story it feels like God isn't there, you know. And in so many
yeah,
stories in the Bible, you're like, oh, like God's just walking hand in hand with people. And it's like, well, God isn't in the story when he's, banging sex workers and, killing people and making them into t-shirts and stuff,
and he didn't go to hell for it, as far as we know, which is
Right.
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like he's, like the main character in some sort of like ancient times GTA, and occasionally somebody just puts in the God mode cheat code
Right.
and
Yeah,
he just throws tanks around and whatnot.
Right.
it is
Yeah.
funny because it is like it. you don't get this clear idea. It's like, does he always have super strength? It seems like just occasionally God's like, bam, and then he's like killing motherfuckers.
Right.
He has like spaz strength.
Okay. That
All of
makes
a
Hey, you
sudden
can't
sense.
he
say that.
snaps.
You can't. If Beyonce can't say that,
Yeah.
you can't say that.
Lizzo can't say that. I can't say that either.
Oh,
Oh, it was
that's what it
Lizzo.
was. It was
Beyonce
Lizzo, wasn't
used
it?
it too, right?
No,
Like
it's
Beyonce
yeah.
and
Yeah, it was well, let's be honest, everybody used it, but those are the two most famous people who used it. So
so
so we're not
and
allowed to say that anymore.
and did they both change their lyrics, or
Yeah,
was it only Lizzo? Both of them did.
both of them did. Yeah.
Damn.
Maybe so this is a fun little experiment. When do you think he got his super strength? Because there's
I
a
mean, I
moment.
thought you already settled that for us when he punched his way out of his mom's pussy.
Yeah. I forgot how funny that was.
Yeah, we're not going to give the story a rewrite.
Yeah. So
It's
no,
in the
I mean,
Bible.
because you were like, oh, it's sporadic or whatever. And there's because, for example, there's moments in our lives when we can have super strength ourselves. Like they say, like, a mother can run down a hill and pick up a car to save her baby.
Right,
Like
the
things like
adrenaline rush.
that. Do you think that it's possible that he got his super strength after he had an orgasm?
It makes sense because it says that the Holy Spirit gripped him, and I
Yeah.
think the Holy Spirit has lips that grip, is what
Yeah,
it's trying to tell you.
and this guy is also very like it seems like a lot of his, and you've already said it, Sam, where like a lot of his issues are woman related and sexual related, so it's like, well, maybe he's like, damn, like I want to fight somebody, but like I gotta come first,
It's got a
and
bust.
so like, yeah, I
Something's
gotta
about to bust.
bust. How
Hank
am I supposed to
Schumann.
bust through all these Philistines if I can't bust into Delilah? You know?
I imagine that when he does, that also sent her tumbling through a window.
Right, of course.
I
Yeah.
do like that this guy's like, he's a total lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's murdered
unhinged.
people on a whim for like almost nothing.
Yeah.
And yet like Delilah's painted as like the evil like temptress of the story because like all of her friends and brothers and everyone she knows was like, can you please help us out with this guy? He's
Yeah.
gonna go nuts and kill us all. Please
Yeah.
tell us how to fix this.
You know what I mean, and this is probably the millionth time someone has said this, but I just realized something that looking back at these stories now as an adult, and especially the entire context as opposed to just half of the context, you actually start to realize that it's more like Game of Thrones, where like there are like people are people, and sometimes they do good things and sometimes they do bad things. Like there's no
Yeah.
villain, there's no hero. Everybody sucks and everybody's great. Like that's just the world,
It
you know?
Yeah, that feels like most of the that's why I still really like it and find it interesting, especially
Right.
like reading it like through again like even a Jewish perspective versus a Christian perspective,
Of
because
course.
all the notes throughout this are like, this is meant to be a mythic story that has explanatory power for X, Y, and Z. There's basically nothing about this that would be understood as literal. It's kind of lining up with other ancient mythic stories.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels between this one and other mythic characters, and they even mention Hercules, and it's
Yeah.
like they just I think what's cool is like from that's not the perspective you get growing up evangelical. It's just like this all actually happened, and this is exactly how God wanted to. And they at the beginning, it's like one of the first thing it says is like, I don't know if I'll find it, but it's like, and this is the reason the that's right. So when he decides that he wants the Philistine girl, his parents are like, and they didn't realize at the time that this sets up his ability, like the whole story for him to be able to deliver them a rule during the time of their occupation by the Philistines, where it's like it's clearly written after the fact, and the story is like supposed to just be like pretext for like, so the reason this happened was all because God wanted him to find this person and then be angry and then find himself at this wedding and then be mad that they guessed the riddle, and that was the catalyst for him ruling Israel for 20 years. And it's just like, that's all wild. It's clearly not what happened, but
Right.
it's just like the story for how we got here. It has like that. It's just a very it's obviously written as a story, uh, in a very intentional way to parallel other types of myths that you would find at the time.
What's interesting is I'm looking at it like, because there's moments, and I'll go back on something I said where in the story I was saying it kind of feels like God wasn't there at all. And it was like it was just Samson's flesh taking over or whatever, as you know, to get Christianese on you. Like Samson's flesh took over. And um I would actually argue that you could say that what's interesting is that God was there the whole time, but what's different about this and what we've learned growing up is that God wasn't like, "Oh, you're meeting a whore. Cool." Like, you know, like it was just like, "Oh, you're doing that? Okay, well, I'll just do this to fix this and keep going. All right, and I'll just do this to fix this and keep going." You know, and it's just a bunch of he's just almost like constantly doing a math equation for every decision that we do, you know?
Yeah,
To where at the end of it, you're like, "Man, God was there the whole time." You know what I mean?
yeah.
I
It's
don't know if
there's
that
not
makes
like
any sense, but
I I think so. I think like what I hear you say is like there's not a lot of commentary on like the morality of
no, not
what's
at
going
all.
on.
Yeah,
And
not at
that's what's
all.
kind of it's just and that but that's what Christianity did. They tried to moralize every single fucking story where
You're
it's like
absolutely right. Yeah.
that's not what's happening here. You can't
Mhm.
moralize this story. And doing so takes away from anything interesting about it.
Yeah.
Like
That's the perfect way to put it. Absolutely. You took what I meant and made it way better.
well, I closed my book. I don't know if I should have made a like done that ceremoniously, but my Bible has been closed. So let it be written, so let it be done, as they say in the Charlton Heston Moses movie.
Okay.
Uh, I think that's also in the Bible, maybe, but it's definitely said by Yul Brenner in uh, what is that? Who played Yul Brenner in the Moses movie with Charlton Heston? Right? Okay, everyone
Yeah,
knows what I'm talking about.
I don't know if I've seen that movie. It's the Ten
Ten
Commandments,
Commandments.
right?
Yeah.
The Ten Commandments? I don't know if I've seen that movie.
Oh, I think
His name's Yule.
yeah.
I'm
Right, Yul
sure
Brenner.
I'm sure that my school played it when my teacher was not wanting to do work, but there's no possible way that I paid attention because
It's
that
like
movie seems boring.
okay, a little bit unrelated, but still Charlton Heston. Ben Hur. Was it a Christian movie?
I don't know. I can tell you
I've never
all the
seen it.
movies that we watched at school,
okay, that
and let's
reference didn't
decide
hit.
whether they were Christian. Did you think Ben-Hur was a Christian movie? No. Clash of the Titans, is that a Christian movie?
No.
Okay.
I only saw the Sam Worthington one, I think.
This one
And
I think is one of my favorite Christian movies, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah,
Seen that
yeah,
one?
it is.
That's
That's definitely a Christian
one of
movie.
my favorite Christian movies of all time. Schindler's List, is that a
oh,
Christian movie?
no, that,
It's popular.
it's a
It's
lot of biblical themes at play.
yeah, it is.
Jewish movie. Come on.
Yeah, it is famously a very Christian movie. You know, when Adolf Hitler wanted to kill all the Christians. Um,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
gonna ask Kanye to come in and help me out with this one. I think
Oh
he
my
might have some
god.
interesting things to say.
I think
Uh,
to be fair though, I think every school watched all those movies, right?
I have never seen Schindler's List.
It
I
wasn't a
have
school.
seen that one.
Was it a school? It wasn't a school requirement for you.
Well, I was homeschooled, so we read the
Okay, so
Bible
it
as a
definitely
family,
wasn't a school requirement
and
for you.
His parents were like, none of that's real.
Oh no!
no,
That's why
thank
it's in
God.
black and white because it isn't real.
Yeah. Just like the beginning of the Wizard of Oz, but when it gets to color, that's when it
That's when
works.
things
That's
start
when
getting
it's real.
scary at your
Yeah.
house. And they're like, "Wait, it's real. We gotta make it go back to black and white." Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, like, yeah, we would that was a requirement, for school. We had it was like a big deal because we had to have our parents sign, like, a
Oh yeah.
permission slip because there was a bunch of nudity in it and stuff.
That's the worst part, right? Not the Holocaust. Like I love how
Yeah,
that goes. It's like,
which I think
look, we're
is
gonna watch a movie about the Holocaust and it's brutal and upsetting and horrifying, but they show tits.
yeah.
So like we need you to sign this so we can show your kid tits, because
It's
it's
so
about the
funny.
tits.
It's so funny that you say that, because I was just about to say the like, I guess, irony of it all is that that is literally the last thing you're thinking about when you watch that movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Like like
And if
the
you're not,
last
we
thing
know
you're
which kid's gonna grow up to be a sexual deviant
like
or date
literally
raper.
the last thing that you're thinking about that movie is sexualizing the characters. That is, I mean, if you watch that movie and sexualize a character in that movie, you are demented. Like
Yeah.
there is something wrong with you, because that's not right. Like, you know,
Yeah.
That guy's gonna
Yeah.
be drawing pregnant Sonic someday.
Yeah.
Just a real sicko.
pregnant Sonic.
Giving birth to a Pikachu, some shit.
Oh man.
Oh my. Well, I thoroughly appreciated this Bible study. So
Yeah, as did
Thank-
I. One of the
thank you
best Bible studies I've ever been to. It's the
Thank
only
you.
one where I can make jokes like this.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it. I like the way we I like the in and out, right? It's just
Yeah.
back in the word, out of the word, in the word, out of the word. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Well, and not only that, like we're also like joking and like making jokes like normal human beings, as opposed to like, you're with your church friends, so like you're like thinking of a joke, but you're like, I'm not gonna say
I
that.
can't
That's
say
like,
that.
yeah, that's wrong. Then you can't make a freaking pube reference to these people.
Because people in church don't have pubes, so it's like they don't
Yeah.
even get it, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why they're not swole, because they don't have pubes. That's the thing. You
Low
have to,
testosterone.
if we've learned anything from this podcast, it's that if you want to get swole, you have to eat pubes.
Yeah.
I start my training regimen tonight.
Oh man, that would be so funny to see the Liver King just eating pubes now. That would be great.
Just by the handful, just bushels.
Yeah. There's so many weird people already. Like there's people that drink their own pee and stuff, and
Oh,
like
why
and,
is
like,
that getting so big?
I have no idea. I have
I
no
just saw a
idea.
video of a dude who like wore a trash bag while
Yeah.
working out and then drank his sweat afterwards, and I wanted
That's
to fucking
disgusting.
barf.
Have you
That's
seen the video of the guy injecting pee
Yeah, I've seen that because I watched
Into
your
his
mom's house.
eyeball. No.
into his arm?
Was that on the regular Your Mom's House, or was that on the premium one, like the live show they just did?
Oh man, I don't remember where I first saw it. It must have been Your Mom's House, but
Videos
it's
like that are only on Your Mom's House. Like,
yeah,
because they search like the dark web, like somebody said it right. I think it was Nate Bargatze went on, and he was like, he goes, y'all have a different internet than I do.
Yes. Yes.
You only find these
my
on
internet
Tor.
does not have this.
This is some MS DOS crap. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I can't. I have never watched one of their live shows because I can't take the heavy stuff.
Oh
They
yeah.
have- yeah.
It's really, really difficult. I've gotten to a point where I'm cool with certain things, and then there's certain things that I'm not. Like you start to learn that about yourself. Like this is a complete Your Mom's House tangent, but like for example, like Christina can't do vomit. If anybody
Okay,
even
yeah.
starts heaving, if anybody goes "Bleh," like she immediately is like, stop, can't do it. And I'm not that person. Like I could watch stuff like that all the time. If anything involving poo is on screen, I'm done. Like
That's
I'm
tough.
literally like I am like done. I can't do it. And this last live show, there was at least 6 videos where it was like, even just thinking about it, I'm kind of starting to like, oh god, like I can't unsee it. Yeah, they show some pretty heavy stuff. Dude,
I can't do blood.
I think I'm scared. I'm scared to watch it. Violence is really rough for me. Like
Yeah.
anyone, I cannot. It's like I remember in like high school, like people talking about like the faces of death videos or something like that. But
Mhm.
then even
Oof.
some like ones that weren't people dying and it was just like really, it might be like I went to someone's house and they had a video playing and it was just like shit from like skateboarders like
Yeah.
failing hard, but it's not like the cute internet fails where you see them like, you know, do a grind fail and like wreck their nuts, but it's like
Right.
somebody falls and breaks their leg and their shin pops out like
Yeah.
of their
Oh,
kneecap, and
the
Yeah.
it's just like,
the
nope,
floppy
nope,
limb
no.
is
Yeah,
oh, it's bad.
videos like that are like they don't make me sick. They just like immediately make me depressed. Does that make sense? Like it's just like
Yeah,
I watch it and I'm just
I'm
like,
sad now.
"Oh, great. Now my day's ruined."
Yeah.
Cuz now I'm just going to think about this guy spinning around in a conveyor belt until his entire body gets dismembered.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like just like
Ugh.
awful stuff, um but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like a lot of a lot of what they can show, especially on the real Your Mom's House channel, is super funny because it's just like the amount of like dumb people like that are just like and they think it's cool to like put things like that on the internet, like, you know what I
That's what's
mean?
wild. Like, you're the kind of person that not only did you film it, you looked at it later and were like, "No, this deserves to be seen by other people."
Yeah.
That's my
It's
whole
alarming.
Instagram feed now. It's
Yeah,
just
that is.
all like TikTok cringe and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
my favorite. I
Ladies
love it.
above 18. Like the hello, my queens above 18.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that guy.
just like, dude, the funniest thing, which I promise I'm going somewhere with this. The funniest thing about this guy is that he noticed he started getting a little traction, so he decided that he wanted to start selling shirts, right? and so he
Perfect.
Really?
and so he literally had a white shirt that I'm pretty sure he just bought a 10 pack from Walmart, and with Sharpie just wrote Queen above 18 on it.
Oh my
Said, "Y'all can
god.
buy these shirts. You could just Venmo me." And I'm like, I can just make that myself. Like, what are you doing? But all that to say, I have merch now at childlikewonder.co.
There it is.
Yeah,
We got to the pitch.
and
Yeah, I
there's
just
some good
ordered
merch.
the viewfinder one.
Yeah,
Or the one with the little logo.
I saw that you did that. So I'm actually wearing one. I'm wearing the church camp shirt.
Beautiful.
There's some great church references. I noticed that there is no t-shirts that just say the word church camp. And I thought that was super funny. I thought that was super funny because like you're winning both audiences. You're winning people that like church camp and you're winning people who went to church camp and have an awkward experience, which is almost everybody that's been to church camp, let's be honest.
Even
And
those
so
who
like
like it.
yeah, and then I have another shirt that says unspoken prayer request, which I
Yeah,
thought
that's
was
so
super
good.
fun. Thought that was super fun. That I've never seen a shirt that says that. And like, why not? Later on, I'm probably going to make one that says retreat yourself, because that's going to be our podcast that I'm coming out with next year. And yeah, I have just the regular childlike wonder stuff. I have one that's like a drawing of me, and it says Mike Valdes, and then it says comedy's favorite cartoon. And then I have another one, which is the one that Casey was talking about. It's like the old viewfinders, and it says childlike wonder and my name and all that stuff. What I really wanted to do with this line was just I wanted to make shirts that people would buy whether they know who I was or not, you know.
Mhm.
And I think that that's probably the best way to do it, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Well, so you said the Retreat Yourself will come out next year.
Yeah.
And then you got
I have
you got
Childlike Wonder, which is also my podcast that I do about nostalgia. That's coming out next year as well.
awesome.
And I definitely want to have you guys. I'll probably have you both separately on Childlike Wonder, and then probably together on Retreat Yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be awesome.
yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
But yeah, we'll talk because that's the thing, especially about me, and I feel I'm sure you guys are the same. Where like and I don't know how often you guys are guesting on other podcasts that aren't about Christianity, but like when you're on a regular podcast or just like a comedy podcast or whatever, you talk about your Christianity a little bit, but like that's also like such a big part of who you are, but you can't really talk about it too much because not everybody knows about it. Only a certain subsect of people. But then when you go on the Christian podcast, you're like, oh, like now I can talk about this
Yeah.
other 50% of me that I never get to talk about. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with these podcasts because like I love silly stuff. I love reminding people about not losing their sense of childlike wonder, and like I love TV shows and movies and all that stuff, but also like just like you guys, I grew up in the church, and I have a lot of weird church camp stories and all that kind of stuff, and I never get to talk about that. So now it's a different platform.
Yeah, can't wait, man. Definitely looking forward to those.
Yeah.
So everyone go. You got a backlog of childlike wonder. So everyone go, poke around there. He's got some
Yeah.
great guests on it. So
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram at Mike Valdes. It's MikeValdes. It sounds like a Z spelled with an S. But yeah, man, I'm there. I'm on TikTok. I'm going viral on TikTok now, which is pretty cool.
that's fun.
Nice.
It is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Like it's I made this joke yesterday, but I feel like the TikTok comment section is the well actually of social media. Because like like literally every joke that I post, they're like, well, actually, if you pay attention to this, this, and this, and I'm like, it's a joke. Like,
Yeah, the
calm
point
down.
is
Yeah.
to not think too much about it because then you will find like that. God damn, some
Sort of
people
be like, God,
that's
you're fun.
Yeah.
that's the
That must be
problem.
so cool at parties.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
talking about how I got one thing about Full House wrong and harping
Well,
on that.
you had mentioned not to jump back too far, but the book was this before we started recording? I already forget, but we were talking about the Book of Mormon. I think that was
Yes.
before we hit record, maybe.
Yeah.
But how like that's hard. That would be hard to have be anything other than a play when you're or a
Yeah.
show. It's like because you're like, but that's what it is. Like now, because everything's on streaming platforms, everyone thinks everything is for them. Like
Right.
if it pops up, they're like, "Oh, I should watch it," and they hit play, and they're like, "That was offensive." It's like it's because it wasn't fucking for you.
Right.
Like, stay in your lane, and everyone will be happy. And that's what's cool about like I'm buying a ticket to this show. I'm buying. That's what's so like crazy about like hecklers and comedy and stuff. Where
Right.
like what the fuck did you think you were signing up for? And you're in
Yeah.
the front row, dude. You thought no one was going to talk to you and do some crowd work. Like
Right.
you don't know why you're here, and it's not for you. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's like
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, and unfortunately, for comedians especially, you get to a point, the first 10 years usually, the first 10 years of your career, sometimes more. People are just getting to know who you are, and then you get your break, which is like, your Netflix special or whatever, or your special that you produced yourself goes really big on Moment or on YouTube or whatever, and now people know who you are, so people come to see you specifically, and not just like, oh, I'm at the Improv on a Thursday and they
mhm.
have comedy here, and also Mike Valdez happens to be here. Like it's like, no, I'm going to see Mike Valdez, you know what I mean? And that's a completely different person
Yeah.
than a person that is like, I came here to see comedy and you're not my version of comedy, or you are
Mhm.
my version of comedy, or whatever. Because you always try to win people over, of course, but yeah, that is why you get a lot of hecklers and things like that. And
Yeah.
what's weird is like, I've noticed for the bigger comedians, and to be fair, not even for bigger comedians, this happens to me a lot as well. Hecklers aren't like mean. You know what I mean? Like they're mostly just trying, like they think they're helping, you know, in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And so that's why I kind of like, I don't tread lightly. Like I make my jokes, but I am very like, like I'm not mean about it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like for example, like this lady, this happened recently. I mean, and to me this is a heckle, but like I was just doing a bit, and I did it, and it got an applause break, and then while that applause break was dying, she just screams, "I love you." And I was already on the next bit, and it made my train of thought like stop working.
Yeah.
So I was like, "I love you too, but please shut up." And then that got like a really big laugh. But it was just because I was being genuine. Like it was just like, "Hey, like I love you too, but also like you're kind of fucking with what I'm trying to do." Like
Yeah.
because I also have to remember 20 more minutes of material. And
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Exactly.
I lose one little thing, then it's over. Like it all unravels, and then, I'm asking you to give me a word and
Yeah.
improvise off a dildo in 9/11, you know?
It's a perfect callback
Yeah.
to end with here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks so much, man. Fucking love having you on. I'm
Are you
super
kidding? Yeah.
excited
This is
for
one of my favorite podcasts to guest on. I love it.
well, thank you.
Yeah, man. This is the best. You guys are, like I said it in the last podcast, and I'll always say it. You guys are my tribe. You're my family. So I'm always down to being on if the guests always, or if the audience wants me on.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Thanks,
have to have
man.
you back for another Bible study.
Please, anytime.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.